Farmer challenges girl to fix broken tractor, but when she starts tinkering, Ashley pulled her old car to a stop at the entrance of Green Valley Farm and took a deep breath. She had returned home after 3 years studying mechanics in Chicago, but no one in the small town of Millbrook believed a woman could understand machines. The challenge had begun the day before, when Old Man Jenkins, the most stubborn farmer in the area, showed up at her father's garage, laughing and saying, "Women couldn't even fix a bicycle, let alone a tractor." Ashley, at 23, with her freshly earned diploma, felt her blood boil. She accepted the challenge on the spot. She'd fix his broken tractor in a week, or publicly admit he was right. Now, stepping out of the car and seeing the man in his faded blue overalls waiting with his arms crossed, Ashley questioned her impulsive decision. The red, dusty tractor looked older than her, parked in the middle of the yard like a sleeping dinosaur. "So the little lady actually came," said Old Man Jenkins, his worn-out hat partially covering his graying hair. "Thought you'd backed out." Ashley grabbed her toolbox from the trunk. "A promise is a promise, Mr. Jenkins. I'm here to keep my word." "Well then, get started. That beast's been sitting for 2 months. I've called 3 mechanics and none could get it running. If you manage it, I'll eat my hat." Ashley approached the tractor, noticing how Mr. Jenkins' hands trembled slightly as he spoke. There was something odd about the whole situation. Why would a man who always dismissed women's work challenge her now? She popped the hood and began inspecting the engine. Years of study and practice guided her movements, but something didn't add up. The parts were worn, sure, but not enough to leave the machine completely dead. "Mr. Jenkins, when was the last time you changed the oil?" "Oh, been a while." "But oil doesn't stop a tractor, girl." Ashley shook her head. The problem seemed deeper, maybe in the transmission system. She crouched, staining her light jeans with the red dirt. That's when she noticed there were fresh tool marks on some bolts. Someone had been tinkering recently, and it wasn't the mechanics Mr. Jenkins had mentioned. "Are you sure no one else has touched this tractor?" The farmer looked away. "Positive? Why?" Ashley decided not to push. She kept inspecting, making mental notes. The Midwestern countryside sun beat down, and she could feel sweat trickling down her back. 2 hours passed. Ashley had partially disassembled the transmission when she heard another car pulling up. A woman in her 50s wearing a floral dress hurried out. "Henry, what's this I'm hearing? You challenged Jack's daughter." Old Man Jenkins stiffened. "That's my business, Dorothy." "Your business? You promised you'd sell this tractor. We need the money for—" "Dorothy!" His voice cut through the air. "Not now." Ashley pretended not to listen, but her mind raced. So there were money troubles. That explained a lot. Mrs. Jenkins, the farmer's wife, walked up to her. "Sweetheart, I'm sorry about my husband. He's been troubled lately." "It's all right, Mrs. Jenkins, I'm here by choice." The woman studied her for a moment, then whispered, "Be careful. That tractor has more history than it seems." Before Ashley could ask what she meant, Mrs. Jenkins was already heading back to the car. The day wore on, and Ashley still couldn't pinpoint the main issue. There were plenty of problems, but nothing that would leave the tractor completely dead. It was almost as if someone had deliberately... The realization hit her like lightning. She stood up too fast, banging her head on the open hood. "Ouch!" she groaned, rubbing the sore spot. "See?" Old Man Jenkins approached. "This isn't work for a woman. Better quit before you really hurt yourself." Ashley stared at him, suspicion growing. "You sabotaged your own tractor." The silence that followed was heavy. "Old man." Jenkins opened and closed his mouth several times, unable to form words. "Why?" she asked. "Why challenge me if you're the one who broke the machine?" The farmer suddenly looked much older. His shoulders slumped as he removed his cap, running a hand through his thinning hair. "You wouldn't understand, girl. Try me." He shook his head and started walking toward the house. "Keep working. You've got a week, remember?" Ashley stood there, motionless beside the tractor, trying to piece together the puzzle. Why would a proud man like Old Man Jenkins sabotage his own equipment? What had Dorothy meant when she said they needed to sell the tractor? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, Don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers out. Now back to it. She returned to work, but now with a different goal. It wasn't just about fixing a tractor or proving women could be mechanics. Something bigger was happening here. The next day, Ashley arrived early. Morning mist still covered the pastures as she parked. Old Man Jenkins was already up watering a small garden beside the house. "Good morning, Old Man Jenkins." "Morning," he replied without looking at her. Ashley went straight to the tractor. She'd spent the night thinking and had a few theories. She began disassembling other parts, searching for confirmation. Around 10 in the morning, a man in a suit appeared. Ashley recognized him. Mr. Williams, from the bank. "Henry, we need to talk," the man said, completely ignoring Ashley. "I told you I need more time, Williams. Time's the one thing you don't have. 3 months overdue, Henry. The bank can't wait any longer." Ashley kept working, but her ears were sharp. "Give me 1 more month," Old Man Jenkins pleaded. "The harvest." "The harvest failed, everyone knows that. You need to sell something. This tractor, for example." "Not this tractor," Old Man Jenkins' voice rose. "It was my father's. Sentiments don't pay debts. You've got 2 weeks or we start foreclosure." The banker left, leaving Old Man Jenkins visibly shaken. Ashley pretended not to have heard, but now she understood the situation better. "Old Man Jenkins," and she called. "Can I ask you something?" He approached slowly. "What is it?" "This tractor? Did you learn to drive on it?" The man's eyes softened. "How'd you know?" "My dad taught me on his tractor too. You never forget, right?" Old Man Jenkins sat on a nearby tree stump. "My father bought this tractor in 1978. I was 15, spent every summer of my youth on it." Ashley kept working as she listened. "Married Dorothy and brought her here to live. My 3 kids all learned to drive this tractor. Now they're all in the big city, don't care about the land anymore. Why not ask them for help?" Old Man Jenkins scoffed. "Pride, girl. Spent my life saying a real man doesn't ask for anything. How can I ask now?" Ashley stopped what she was doing. "Then why challenge me?" He was silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough. "Because if you can fix it, I can sell it to someone who'll take care of it. But if it's broken, the scrapyard won't pay 1/10 of what I owe." "But you broke it yourself." I know," he burst out. "I know, all right, I couldn't sell it working. Every time someone came to look, I made up an excuse. So I thought, if it was really broken..." Ashley understood. The man was torn between his love for the tractor and the need to save the farm. "And why me, Old Man Jenkins? Why did you choose me?" He looked her in the eyes for the first time since she'd arrived. "Because I saw you in your father's shop the other day. I saw how you looked at the machines with the same love I once had. If anyone can understand..." Silence stretched between them. Ashley went back to work, but now with a different weight on her shoulders. On the 3rd day, she brought her father along. Frank was a man of few words, but he'd known Old Man Jenkins for decades. "Henry," he greeted. "Frank," the other replied, tense. Ashley worked while the 2 men eyed each other like old dogs too tired to fight, but too proud to back down. "Your daughter's stubborn," Old Man Jenkins finally said. "Takes after her mother," Frank answered. A small smile appeared on the farmer's face. "Mary sure was hard-headed." "God rest her soul." Frank crossed himself. Ashley paused for a moment. "Her mother had passed 5 years ago and it still hurt. Ashley told me about the challenge," Frank continued. "She also told me you sabotaged the tractor yourself." Old Man Jenkins stiffened. "I'm not here to judge," Frank raised his hand. "I'm here to offer help." "I don't." "Need? Everyone needs help, Henry, even you." The 2 fell silent. Ashley kept working, identifying every part that had been deliberately damaged. It was meticulous work, but she was determined. Around noon, Dorothy showed up with lunch. Rice, beans, a simple cut of meat and salad. Ashley tried to refuse, but the woman insisted. "Eat, girl. Hard work needs good food." As they ate, Dorothy shared stories about the farm, how she'd met Henry at a midsummer festival dance, how they'd built a life together, how they'd raised their children. Those were good times, as she sighed. But the drought these past years, the changing weather's been hard on everyone, Frank agreed. It's not just the weather, Old Man Jenkins grumbled. It's everything. What we produce doesn't even cover the costs. The young folks don't care about farming anymore. The government. Dorothy cut him off. You always blame others, Henry, but you've made bad choices too. Dorothy, it's true. That cattle investment against everything I said, stubbornly refusing to diversify, too proud to accept Thompson's partnership. Enough! Old Man Jenkins stood up. I won't be humiliated in my own home. He stormed out. Dorothy sighed. Sorry, Ashley, he's a good man but stubborn as a mule. We all have our flaws, Frank said diplomatically. After lunch, Ashley returned to work with renewed determination. Now she understood she wasn't just fixing a tractor, she was trying to help save a way of life. On the fourth day, she got a surprise. She arrived to find Old Man Jenkins already working on the tractor. What are you doing? He didn't look at her. Undoing what I did. It's not fair to you. Ashley stepped closer. Why the change of heart? Dorothy gave me an earful last night. Said if I had the guts to break it, I'd better have the guts to fix it. They worked together in silence for a while. Ashley noticed that despite his age, Old Man Jenkins knew every bolt on that machine. You know, he said suddenly, you remind me of my eldest, Jennifer. Really? She was just as determined, wanted to be an engineer. I told her it wasn't women's work. Ashley waited for him to continue. She did it anyway. Graduated, works at a big company in Chicago. It's been 3 years since she's visited. Why? Pride. Hers and mine. We fought bad when she decided to leave. I said things I shouldn't have. Ashley understood the challenge wasn't just about the tractor or proving something about women in mechanics. It was about a father trying perhaps to fix past mistakes through her. Have you tried calling her? Every day I pick up the phone, every day I give up. Pride, fear. Fear that it's too late. They kept working. Ashley identified each problem, some caused by time, others by deliberate sabotage. It was like putting together a puzzle where some pieces had been intentionally warped. By the 5th day, news of the challenge had spread through town. Some curious onlookers began showing up at the farm. Among them was old Mr. Thompson once, a friend and now a rival of Old Man Jenkins. So it's true, said Thompson, a short, heavy-set man. Henry challenged a girl and now he's helping her win. Old Man Jenkins stood up, fists clenched. What do you want here, Thompson? I came to see the show. The great Henry Jenkins, who never needed anyone, being helped by a little girl? You... Ashley stepped between them. Excuse me, Mr. Thompson, we're working here. Ha! Even she's got more guts than you, Henry. Thompson, get out of here before you what? Hit me? Like last time? You'll lose the farm the same way. The revelation caught Ashley off guard. She looked at Old Man Jenkins, red with anger and shame. Get out, Thompson. His voice was low, dangerous. I'm going. But remember my offer, it still stands. Half the price, but better than nothing. After Thompson left, Old Man Jenkins sat down heavily. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. He wants to buy the farm. Yes, for a pittance. Says it's to help me, but I know it's revenge. Revenge for what? Old Man Jenkins sighed. 20 years ago, he wanted to marry Dorothy. She chose me. He never got over it. The layers of the story unfolded like the layers of grease on the tractor's engine. Ashley realized she was in the middle of a web of old grudges and tangled relationships. On the 6th day, with just 1 day left before the deadline, Ashley got another surprise. She arrived to find 3 people waiting, Mrs. Dorothy and 2 men she didn't know but who had Old Man Jenkins' eyes. Ashley, these are my sons, Mrs. Dorothy introduced. Michael and Robert. Jennifer couldn't come. The 2 men in their 30s looked uneasy. Mom told us about the challenge, said Michael, the older one, and about the farm situation. Where's Dad? Robert asked. Locked in his room since yesterday, Mrs. Dorothy replied. He won't see you, Ashley. Felt like an intruder in this family drama. Can I keep working? Of course, Michael said. Actually, we wanted to talk to you. Ashley looked at them, curious. Mom said you study mechanics, Robert continued. And that you're helping even though you know Dad sabotaged the tractor. It's complicated, Ashley said. It always is with Dad, Michael sighed. Look, we want to help financially, but he won't take it from us. Ashley began to understand. And you want me to be the middleman? Not exactly, Robert explained. We thought, if you can fix the tractor, we could buy it from him for a fair price. He'll never sell to you. Not if he knows it's us. Michael had a plan. We can use a middleman, say it's a collector from Chicago. Ashley shook her head. More lies won't fix anything. Then what do you suggest? Mrs. Dorothy asked desperately. We'll lose everything, Ashley thought. She looked at the tractor, now almost completely dismantled. She looked at this family, fractured by pride and miscommunication. I'll finish fixing it, she said finally. But I think you need to fix other things too. She went back to work, but could hear the family arguing. Voices rose, accusations. Flew, old wounds reopened. Then old man Jenkins appeared. He was unshaven and red-eyed. What's all this shouting about? Dad, Michael stepped forward. We need to talk. I have nothing to say to someone who abandoned the family. Abandoned? Robert exploded. You threw us out. Said if we didn't want to live off the land, we weren't your sons. And you're not. Sons help their fathers. How when you never accepted help? Michael shot back. How many times did we offer? How many times did you throw it in our faces saying you didn't need dirty city money? Ashley kept working, but it was impossible not to hear. She now saw the tractor was just a symbol of much bigger problems. Enough, Dorothy shouted. Enough of this fighting. We're about to lose our home and you're arguing over pride. The silence that followed was heavy. Ashley chose that moment to make an announcement. I found the main problem. Everyone turned to her. It's the injection system. Old man Jenkins damaged it in a specific way. It'll be hard to get the part. How much? Michael asked. It's not about money. It's an old part specific to this model. Might have to get it custom made. How long? Dorothy asked. Over a week. Discouragement settled over everyone. Ashley had failed the challenge, or rather, the challenge had been impossible from the start. So that's it, old man Jenkins said, his voice defeated. I've lost everything. Not yet, Ashley said. There's another option. They all looked at her with hope. I can adapt a part from another model. It won't be original, but it'll work. Do it, Dorothy pleaded. But, Ashley continued, I'll need help from all of you. And so on. The last day of the challenge, Ashley found herself coordinating a family operation. Michael held parts, Robert fetched tools, Dorothy provided water and encouragement, and even old man Jenkins, beaten by circumstance, helped where he could. They worked all day. The sun was setting when Ashley finally said, I think it's ready. Henry, want to start it up? The old farmer approached the tractor like one would a sick old friend. He climbed onto the machine, his hands automatically finding the familiar controls. He turned the key. Nothing, tried again. The engine growled but didn't catch. Ashley climbed up beside him. There's a trick. You need to press the clutch and give it a little jerk forward. How do you know that? My dad has a similar tractor. Same problem. Together they followed the steps. The engine coughed, protested, and finally roared to life. The sound filled the yard, strong and steady. Old man Jenkins had tears in his eyes. So you did it, girl. We did it, Ashley corrected. He looked at the family gathered around the tractor. For the first time in years, they were all together. Michael, Robert, he called. Come up here. The sons hesitated, then climbed up. 4. People squeezed into the tractor cab just like the old days. Dorothy, old man Jenkins called. Remember our first ride on this tractor? She smiled. You said you'd take me to see the world. And did I? You did. Showed me the world could be as big as our farm if there was love. Old man Jenkins turned off the engine. Silence returned, but it was a different silence now. Ashley, he said, you won the challenge, but you taught me something even more important. What? That fixing machines is easy. The hard part is fixing pride. He looked at his sons. Forgive me, I was a fool. Dad, Michael began, but Old Man Jenkins raised his hand. Let me speak. I've spent my life saying a man doesn't ask for help, but what's a man without his family? Robert hugged his father. Michael joined in. Dorothy wept, embracing them all. Ashley climbed down from the tractor, giving the family privacy, but Old Man Jenkins called her back. Ashley, wait, this is yours. He pulled an envelope from his pocket. What's this? Payment for the repair, and a little extra. Ashley opened the envelope. There was more money than she expected. I can't accept this, you need... It's the money from the sales, he explained. Sale? Robert is buying the tractor. Said he always wanted one like the one he learned to drive. He'll pay a fair price. Ashley looked at Robert, who nodded in confirmation. But Old Man Jenkins, this tractor, it's just a machine, girl. I learned that from you. What matters is what it represents, and that... He looked at his family. That's not for sale. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like, and especially, subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. A week later, Ashley was in her father's workshop when Dorothy showed up. Ashley, I came to thank you again. There's no need, Dorothy. Oh, but there is. You saved more than the farm. You saved my family. She held out a wrapped package. What's this? Open it. It was a framed photo. The whole family, gathered around the tractor on the day it was repaired. Ashley was right in the middle, smiling. So you'll remember, Dorothy said, that sometimes fixing hearts is more important than fixing machines. Ashley was moved. How are things now? Better. The boys are helping with the debts. Henry agreed to go into business with them. We're diversifying our crops. And Thompson? Dorothy laughed. Henry went to talk to him, apologized. For their fight 20 years ago, can you believe they're even considering a partnership now? Ashley smiled. And Jennifer? She's visiting next month, Henry called her. Cried on the phone, but he called. After Dorothy left, Frank walked over to his daughter. Proud of you, kiddo. For fixing the tractor? For fixing what needed fixing. They worked side by side in comfortable silence. Ashley thought of her mother, how proud she would have been. She thought of Old Man Jenkins and his family, how sometimes things have to break completely before they can be rebuilt stronger. 6 months later, Ashley received an invitation. It was for the Harvest Festival at Green Valley Farm. When she arrived, she barely recognized the place. The house was freshly painted, there was a new vegetable garden, and laughter filled the air. Old Man Jenkins greeted her with a hug. He was thinner but looked years younger. Ashley, the guest of honor. Old Man Jenkins, you look different. Hard work and a reunited family work miracles. Come, I want to show you something. He led her to the barn. There stood the tractor, gleaming like new. Robert restored it completely. Said he'll pass it down to his kids one day. It's beautiful. You know, Ashley, I think about that day all the time. What you said about fixing more than just machines. You did the hard work. You showed me the way. And guess what? Jennifer's here. Brought her boyfriend to meet the family. Ashley smiled. I'm glad. She's an engineer, you know. Works in solar energy. We're thinking of installing panels on the farm. The celebration lasted well into the night. Ashley watched the reunited family, neighbors celebrating. Even Thompson was there, laughing at one of Old Man Jenkins' jokes. At one point, Jennifer approached her. You're Ashley? Dad talks about you all the time. Nice to meet you. No, the pleasure's mine. Dad said you made him realize he was wrong about women and careers. He apologized for all those years he discouraged me. He loves you so much. I know, always did. But pride, it's a complicated thing in our family. Was, Ashley corrected. I think you've learned to fix that too. Jennifer laughed. Yeah, guess we have. The party went on. Ashley danced, ate, laughed. Later, she found herself in the yard, gazing at the stars. Her father joined her. Thinking about your mum? Yeah, she would have loved this. A family making amends. She sees it, sweetheart. Wherever she is, she sees it. They stood in silence, father and daughter, under the starry Midwestern sky. A year later, Ashley had graduated and opened her own repair shop. Specializing in farm equipment, she served the entire region. On the wall She kept the photo Mrs. Dorothy had given her. One day, a young woman showed up with a troubled tractor. "They say you're the best mechanic around." Ashley smiled. "I do what I can. What's the problem?" "It's complicated. It's my grandfather's tractor. He passed and left it to me, but my dad says women shouldn't mess with these things." Ashley stopped what she was doing and looked at the young woman. "What's your name?" "Sarah." "Sarah, let me tell you a story about a stubborn farmer and a broken tractor." And so Ashley told the story of Old Man Jenkins, teaching yet another young woman that sometimes the greatest challenge isn't fixing machines, but hearts and minds. Ashley's shop thrived. She hired other women, creating opportunities in a male-dominated field. Old Man Jenkins became her biggest advocate, recommending her services to everyone. 2 years after the challenge, Ashley was asked to be a bridesmaid. Robert was getting married and wanted her to be part of the ceremony. "Without you, my family would still be broken," he said. At the wedding, held at Green Valley Farm, Ashley saw how much had changed. The property was thriving, with diversified production and even agritourism. Old Man Jenkins made sure to show the restored tractor to every visitor, telling the story of how a young mechanic had saved more than just a machine. During the reception, Old Man Jenkins gave a speech. "I want to thank everyone for being here, especially one person. Ashley, come up here." Embarrassed, Ashley stepped forward. "This young woman taught me the most important lesson of my life, that asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. That pride can destroy what we love most, and that it's never too late to change." Everyone applauded. Ashley had tears in her eyes. "That's why," Old Man Jenkins continued, "I want to make an announcement. I'm creating a fund to support young women who want to study technical trades, the Ashley Wilson Foundation." Ashley was speechless. Mrs. Dorothy hugged her. "It's the least we can do," she whispered. The party went on, but Ashley needed a moment to process everything. She found herself back in the yard, near the old tractor. Jennifer found her there. Overwhelmed. "A little," Ashley admitted. "You know, my dad's completely changed. The other day he said the biggest mistake of his life was trying to limit people because of old-fashioned ideas. We can all change, yeah, but it takes courage. The courage you had to accept his challenge." They stood quietly watching the party through the window. "Ashley, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why did you take the challenge?" "Really?" Ashley thought. "I think it was because of my mom. She always said people deserve second chances. That behind every stubbornness there's a fear. Your dad wasn't challenging female mechanics, he was fighting the fear of losing everything. You saw that from the start?" "No, but I learned fast. Your dad's a good man, Jennifer. He was just lost." "He wasn't just lost, he was wrong. For about a lot of things. And he admitted it. That's rare." Jennifer nodded. "It is." 3 years passed. The Ashley Wilson Foundation had already helped 12 young women study. Ashley expanded her shop, now with 3 locations in the region. One ordinary morning, she got a call. "Ashley, it's Michael. I need a favor." "Of course, what is it?" "It's Dad. He wants to see you. He's in the hospital." Ashley dropped everything and went. She found the family gathered in the waiting room. "What happened?" "His heart," Mrs. Dorothy explained. "The doctors say he'll be fine, but he insists on talking to you." Ashley walked into the room. Old Man Jenkins was in bed, hooked up to monitors but conscious. "Ashley," he smiled weakly. "Old Man Jenkins, you scared me," she said. "I'm sorry, but I needed to tell you something. You can wait until you're better." "No, it's important." He held her hand. "Remember the day of the challenge? When you found out I'd sabotaged the tractor? I remember. I didn't tell you everything. It wasn't just about the farm or the money." Ashley waited. "It was because I was afraid. Afraid that if the tractor worked, I'd have no more excuses. I'd have to face that my life was broken, my family, my dreams, everything." "Old Man Jenkins, let me finish. You didn't just fix the tractor. You gave me the courage to fix my life, to ask for forgiveness, accept help, change." He squeezed her hand. "Thank you, Ashley, for everything." Ashley had tears streaming down her face. "You're the one who taught me that it's worth fighting for what we love, even when it seems impossible." Old Man Jenkins recovered. The hospital experience brought the family even closer. He slowed, his work pace spending more time with the grandchildren who were starting to arrive. Ashley remained close to the family. She was invited to every event, considered an adopted daughter. 5 years after the challenge, at another harvest festival, now an annual tradition, Old Man Jenkins made sure to take each grandchild for a ride on the old tractor. "Grandpa, why is this tractor so special?" asked little Emma, 6 years old. "Because it taught me that the most important things in life aren't the ones that work perfectly, sweetheart. They're the ones we fix with love." Ashley, watching from a distance, smiled. The challenge had begun with a man trying to prove women couldn't fix machines. It ended up proving that with courage, humility, and love, we can fix much more than machines. We can fix lives. That night, as the party was winding down, Ashley was getting ready to leave when Dorothy called her. "Ashley, wait. I have something for you." It was a hardcover book. "What's this?" "Open it." It was a photo album. The first picture was from the day of the challenge, Ashley covered in grease beside the tractor. The following pages showed the journey, her graduation, the opening of her shop, the young women who received scholarships, the family gatherings. 5 years of a story that changed our lives, Dorothy said. Ashley flipped through it, moved. The last page had a handwritten letter from Old Man Jenkins. "Ashley, they say life teaches us through challenges. I challenged you to fix a tractor. You challenged me to fix my life. Thank you for accepting both challenges. With eternal love and gratitude, Henry Jenkins." Ashley hugged Dorothy, both of them crying. "You're my family too," Ashley said. "And you always will be," Dorothy replied. As she drove home that night, Ashley thought about how a simple challenge had changed so many lives. Old Man Jenkins learned to accept help and change. His sons reconciled with their father. Dorothy saw her family reunited, and Ashley herself discovered her calling went beyond fixing machines. The next day at her shop, Ashley had an unexpected visitor, a reporter from the local paper. "Ashley, we're doing a story on women who break barriers. Can we talk?" "Of course. How did your story with Old Man Jenkins begin?" Ashley smiled, glancing at the photo on the wall. "With an impossible challenge and a sabotage tractor, but really it began with something deeper, with the human need for connection, to overcome pride, to ask for and offer help." "Can you elaborate?" Ashley told the whole story. The reporter listened, fascinated. "And what's the biggest lesson?" Ashley thought. "That life's greatest challenges aren't technical, they're human. Anyone can learn to fix a machine, but it takes courage to fix relationships, to change mindsets, to admit mistakes." Did Old Man Jenkins admit his mistakes? More than that. He turned his mistakes into opportunities for growth, for himself and for others. The article came out the following Sunday. The title was "The Mechanic of Hearts, How a Broken Tractor United a Family." The response was huge. Ashley received messages from women all over the region, thanking her for the inspiration. Some wanted to study mechanics, others just wanted the courage to face their own challenges. Old Man Jenkins framed the article and hung it in the living room. "Now everyone will know I was a stubborn old man," he joked. "They'll know you had the courage to change," Ashley corrected. "Yeah, maybe. But you know what matters most?" "What?" "That my family is here to read it with me." And it was true. Michael, Robert, and Jennifer were all there with their spouses and children. The house that was almost lost now overflowed with life and love. At that moment, little Jack, Robert's son, tugged on his grandfather's pants. "Grandpa, can I ride the tractor?" "Of course, my boy. But first, let me tell you a story about this tractor and a very special lady." Ashley smiled. The story would keep being told, passed down from generation to generation. And every time it was told, it would remind everyone that it's never too late to change, to ask for forgiveness, to rebuild. A few months later, Ashley was approached by a publisher. "We want to turn your story into a book," they said. Ashley hesitated. "It's not just my story. It's the Jenkins family's too." "Then write it with them." That's how Ashley, Old Man Jenkins, and Dorothy spent months reminiscing, writing, organizing memories. It was a therapeutic process for everyone. "Never thought I'd write. A book," Old Man Jenkins said in one of their sessions. "Never thought you'd accept help from a female mechanic," Ashley teased. "Touché," he laughed. The book was launched at a party on the farm. The title, The Tractor Challenge, A Story of Pride, Forgiveness, and New Beginnings. In the dedication, they wrote, "For everyone who needs to fix more than machines, for everyone who has the courage to change, for everyone who understands that asking for help is an act of strength, not weakness." The first part of the book was narrated by Ashley, telling the days of the challenge. The second by Old Man Jenkins, revealing his fears and motivations. The third by Dorothy, showing the perspective of someone who saw the family fall apart and rebuild. During the launch, many people shared their own stories of family reconciliation, inspired by them. An older woman approached Ashley. "My son and I haven't spoken in 5 years. After reading about you in the paper, I called him. We're having dinner together tomorrow." Ashley got emotional. "I'm so happy for you. It's hard, isn't it, swallowing your pride?" "It is, but it's worth it." The evening was a celebration, but also a time for reflection. Man Jenkins gave a moving speech. "I spent most of my life believing that a strong man doesn't ask for help. That showing weakness was shameful. Ashley taught me that the greatest strength lies in recognizing our limitations and accepting the outstretched hand of others." He looked at his children, his wife, the gathered friends. "Today, at 63, I can say, I'm a stronger man because I learned to be vulnerable. I'm richer because I learned to share. I'm happier because I learned to forgive and ask for forgiveness." Everyone applauded. Ashley saw Thompson discreetly wiping away a tear. The reconciliation between the former rivals had turned into a solid friendship. After the party, Ashley found Jennifer in their usual spot near the tractor. "It's become our thinking spot, huh?" Jennifer commented. "Seems like it." "Ashley, I want to tell you something. I'm starting a business here in the area, solar energy for rural properties." "Jennifer, that's wonderful." "Yeah, I decided I want to be closer to family, and I want to help other families modernize without losing their roots. Your father will be so proud." "He already is. It was actually his idea. He said if he learned to accept change, others can too." They smiled. The circle was complete. A year later, the region had transformed. Jennifer's business was thriving. Ashley's repair shop had a waiting list, and Green Valley Farm had become a model for sustainable family farming. One Sunday morning, Ashley received an unexpected call. "Ashley, it's Sarah. Remember me? The girl with my grandpa's tractor?" "Of course I remember. How are you?" "Good. I fixed the tractor and convinced my dad. I'm studying mechanical engineering now." "Sarah, that's wonderful news." "Yeah, and there's more. My dad read your book. He apologized for years of prejudice, said if Old Man Jenkins could change at 60, he could at 45. Ashley smiled. The wave of change kept spreading. That same day, there was a special lunch at the farm. It was Old Man Jenkins and Dorothy's wedding anniversary. During the meal, Old Man Jenkins stood up. "I'd like to make a toast to my wife, who's had patience with me all these years, to my children who forgave me, to Ashley, who showed me the way, and to all of you who are part of this new chapter in our lives." Everyone raised their glasses. Then Robert announced, "Since we're making announcements, Melissa and I are expecting our second child. And if it's a boy, we'll name him Henry," Melissa added. Old Man Jenkins couldn't hold back his tears. "Or Henrietta if it's a girl," Robert said, winking at Ashley, "to keep the tradition of strong women in the family." The afternoon passed with laughter, stories and plans for the future. Ashley watched with contentment. The family that had nearly fallen apart was now closer than ever. As the day ended and the sun set, Ashley prepared to leave. Old Man Jenkins walked her to her car. "Ashley, before you go, I want to show you something." He led her to the barn. There, beside the restored tractor, stood another one, new and modern. "I bought it last month," he explained, "to increase production." "Old Man Jenkins, that's great." "Yeah, but you know what's better? Emma's going to operate it." "Emma? Your granddaughter's only 7. Not that Emma Miller with a degree in agronomy. I hired her last week. First female machine operator in the region. Ashley grinned widely. You really have changed. Thanks to you. And you know, she reminded me of something. What? That machines are just tools. What matters are the people who operate them and the dreams they help bring to life. They stood in silence, looking at the two tractors side by side. The old and the new, the past and the future, united in the present. Ashley, Old Man Jenkins said softly, thank you for everything. I'm the one who should thank you, Old Man Jenkins, for letting me be part of this story. As Ashley drove home, the sun painted the sky orange and pink. She thought about how far she'd come since that first day, when she'd accepted the challenge. She hadn't just fixed a tractor. She'd helped mend a family. She'd inspired change in an entire community. She'd proven that skill has no gender and it's never too late to change. But above all, she'd learned that life's greatest challenges are also its greatest opportunities. To grow, to connect, to transform. The car radio played an old song, and Ashley sang along. Life was good. Not perfect, but good. And that was more than enough. 5 years later, Ashley was in her shop, now the largest in the region, when a young woman approached shyly. Excuse me, are you Ashley from the book? Ashley smiled. This happened often now. That's me. How can I help? My name's Rebecca. I'm 18 and I want to be a mechanic. But my family don't support you, Ashley finished gently. The girl nodded, her eyes glistening. Sit here, Rebecca. Let me tell you about a scholarship called the Ashley Wilson Foundation. And so, the story continued. Every young person Ashley helped, every family that reconciled, every prejudice that was overcome, it was all part of the legacy of that challenge. Old Man Jenkins, now nearly 70, still worked on the farm, though at a slower pace. He spent more time with his 6 grandchildren, teaching them about the land, but also about the importance of embracing change. Dorothy led a group of rural women, sharing recipes, experiences, and mutual support. Jennifer expanded her sustainable energy business. Michael and Robert ran the farm with modern, sustainable practices. And the tractor? The old tractor still ran, now a living museum piece on the farm, where school groups visited to learn about agriculture and the famous story of perseverance. During one of these visits, Ashley was invited to speak. A girl about 10 years old raised her hand. Miss Ashley, what made you accept the challenge even though you knew it was a trap? Ashley thought for a moment. You know, sweetheart, sometimes life puts us in situations that seem impossible, but it's exactly in those moments we discover what we're capable of. I accepted the challenge not to prove something to Old Man Jenkins, but to prove something to myself. And what did you prove? Another child asked. That with knowledge, determination, and compassion, we can fix much more than machines. We can mend hearts. The children listened, fascinated, as Ashley told the whole story. At the end, the teacher thanked her. Thank you for inspiring these young ones. The pleasure is mine. Any one of them could be the next to change the world, starting with their own community. That evening, the Jenkins family held their monthly dinner, a tradition that began after the reconciliation and never stopped. Ashley always had a seat at the table. During dinner, little Henry, Robert's son, now 5 years old, asked a question. Grandpa, why did you challenge Aunt Ashley? Old Man Jenkins looked at his grandson, then at Ashley. Because, my boy, sometimes we need to create problems to find solutions. I was so lost that I made up an impossible problem. But your Aunt Ashley showed me that impossible is just a word we use when we're afraid to try. And what were you afraid of, Grandpa? Of changing, of admitting I was wrong, of losing what I thought defined me. And what defines you? Now, Old Man Jenkins smiled, looking around the crowded table. This right here, all of you, family love, the courage to change, the humility to learn, that's what defines me. Ashley felt her eyes well up. After all these years, she still got emotional over this family's transformation. After dinner, while the children played in the yard, the adults talked on the porch. The conversation, as always, shifted between work, family, and future plans. Ashley, Jennifer called. I have a new project. I want to create a rural technology center here in town, a place where young people can learn about modern farming, renewable energy, mechanics. What a wonderful idea. And I want you to be one of the coordinators. What do you think? Ashley was surprised. Jennifer, I don't know what to say. Say yes, Old Man Jenkins chimed in. You were born to teach, Ashley. Look at all the lives you've changed. Ashley looked around. Everyone waited for her answer with encouraging smiles. Yes, she finally said. Let's do this together. And so a new chapter began. The Millbrook Rural Technology Center opened 6 months later, with Ashley coordinating the mechanics program, Jennifer overseeing renewable energy, and many other local professionals contributing. At the inauguration, the mayor gave a speech mentioning how Ashley and Old Man Jenkins' story had inspired numerous inclusion and modernization initiatives in the town. Old Man Jenkins, invited to cut the ribbon, insisted that Ashley do it. With him. We started this journey together, he said. Only fair we continue together. Side by side, the old farmer and the young mechanic cut the ribbon, symbolizing not just the opening of a center, but the continuation of a story of transformation. The first group of students included 15 young people, 8 of them women. Rebecca, the young woman who had sought out Ashley years before, now graduated, returned as an assistant instructor. During the first class, Ashley began with a story. 10. Years ago, a farmer challenged me to fix a sabotaged tractor. Today, I want to challenge you to something bigger. Fix the world, one community at a time. The young listeners paid close attention as Ashley explained not just about mechanics, but about perseverance, about breaking prejudices, about the importance of community. Old Man Jenkins, who made a point of visiting the center regularly, often shared his own lessons. I spent 60 years of my life thinking I knew everything. In the last 10, I've learned more than in all the years before. The lesson, it's never too late to learn, never too early to teach. The center thrived. Young people from across the region came to learn. Some became mechanics, others solar energy technicians, others returned to their farms with knowledge to modernize them. Ashley kept in touch with many former students. Every success story was a personal victory. Every young person who overcame family prejudices to follow their dreams was confirmation that it had all been worth it. On a rainy afternoon, Ashley was in her office at the center when someone knocked on the door. Come in. It was a middle-aged woman she didn't immediately recognize. Ashley, it's me, Emma Thompson, Mr. Thompson's daughter. Emma, it's been so long, how are you? Good, I came here because, well, it's a long story. Ashley offered coffee and sat down to listen. My father and Old Man Jenkins were enemies, you know. They were. Now they're the best of friends. Exactly. And that got me thinking. I've carried grudges for years too, with my ex-husband, with my sister, with a lot of people. Ashley listened intently. Seeing my father at 70 years old forgive and be forgiven, it gave me courage. I came here to thank you. You didn't just change Old Man Jenkins' life. You changed so many families, including mine. Emma, you showed us it's possible. That pride and resentment don't have to define our lives. Today, I made up with my sister after 15 years of not speaking. The two embraced, moved. Stories like this multiplied. The ripple effect of that initial challenge kept spreading, touching lives in ways Ashley had never imagined. On the 10th anniversary of the challenge, a big celebration was held at Green Valley Farm. Hundreds attended, former students, reconciled families, young professionals inspired by the story. Old Man Jenkins, now 73 but still strong and sharp, gave an emotional speech. 10 years ago, I was a broken man pretending to be whole. I challenged Ashley to fix a tractor I'd sabotaged myself because it was easier than admitting I needed fixing. He paused, looking at Ashley. She took the challenge but taught me something far greater, that true strength lies in admitting our weaknesses and accepting help, that it's never too late to change, that family love is worth more than any pride. Everyone applauded. Ashley was called to speak. When I accepted Old Man Jenkins' challenge, I thought it was about proving women could be mechanics, but I discovered it was about something much bigger. It was about human connection, about overcoming prejudices, about the courage to be vulnerable. She looked around, seeing familiar and new faces. Every one of you here is part of this story. Every change they made, every prejudice they overcame, every hand they extended or accepted, all of that is the true legacy of that broken tractor. The party went on late into the night. The old tractor, now a cherished relic, was decorated with flowers and lights, the center of attention and photos. Jennifer approached Ashley during the party. "You know, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't accepted the challenge. Your father probably would have found another way. People ready to change always do." "Maybe, but you were the one who showed the way, and look where we are now." It was true, the farm thrived with sustainable agriculture. The technology center had trained over 200 young people. Families had reconciled, prejudices had been overcome. Near midnight, as the party began to wind down, Ashley found Old Man Jenkins sitting on the bench near the tractor, gazing at the stars. "Mind if I join you?" "Of course, my dear." They sat in silence for a moment. "Old Man Jenkins, did you ever imagine we'd get here?" "Never. But you know, Ashley, I've learned life has these surprises. When you think it's over, it's just the start of something new." "You taught me that. We taught each other. That's the beauty of human connections. No one has all the answers, but together we can find the way." One of Old Man Jenkins' grandsons came running up. "Grandpa, Grandma's calling for the cake." "Let's go then," Old Man Jenkins said, standing up with surprising agility. "You don't keep Dorothy waiting when there's cake involved." Ashley laughed and followed them. On the table, the cake was shaped like a tractor. Mrs. Dorothy had outdone herself. "Make a wish before cutting," someone shouted. Old Man Jenkins and Ashley exchanged a glance. "May our story keep inspiring change," he said. "And may we never lose the courage to start over," Ashley added. Together, they cut the cake to cheers and applause. The night ended with music, dancing, and countless shared stories. Everyone there had their own version of how that challenge had impacted their lives. As Ashley finally prepared to leave in the early morning hours, a young reporter approached her. "Ashley, one last question for my article. What would you say to someone facing an impossible challenge today?" Ashley paused, looking at the illuminated tractor. The Jenkins family reunited and all the friends around them. "I'd say accept the challenge. Not to prove something to others, but to discover something about yourself. Life's greatest challenges are disguised invitations to become who we truly are. And if they fail, then they'll have learned something valuable. But if they don't even try, they've already failed. The only real failure is letting fear decide for us." The reporter thanked her and walked away. Ashley took one last look at the scene. 10 years ago, she was just a young mechanic trying to prove her worth. Now, she was part of something much bigger. Driving home under the starry sky, Ashley smiled. The tractor challenge had ended long ago, but the challenge of life continued. And she was ready for it, knowing that with courage, compassion, and community, no challenge is truly impossible. Epilogue. 15 years after the challenge. Ashley, now 38, was in the main garage of her auto repair chain when she received an unexpected visitor. Aunt Ashley, it was Henry Jr., Old Man Jenkins' grandson, now a young man of 20. "Junior? What a wonderful surprise. How's college?" "That's actually what I came to talk about. Grandpa told me to come see you." Ashley offered him coffee, and they sat down to talk. "I'm in my 3rd year of business school, but it's not what I want." "What do you want?" The young man hesitated, then answered, "I want to be a mechanic. Like you." Ashley smiled, history repeating itself, but now different. "What's the problem then?" "My parents. They think it's a waste of my education. That mechanics isn't a career for someone with a college degree." "And what did your grandfather say?" He laughed, said life is funny, that now it's me wanting something he once thought impossible, and he told me to come talk to you. Ashley stood up. "Come with me." She led him to the meeting room, where the walls were covered in photos and certificates. "See these pictures? They're all former students from the center, doctors who decided to become farmers, lawyers who turned into solar energy technicians, engineers who chose mechanics. Junior watched, fascinated. The point, Junior, isn't about wasting education. It's about using your education to do what you love. You can be a mechanic with a college degree. You can revolutionize the field with your business knowledge. My parents won't understand. Your grandfather didn't understand a lot of things either. Look where he is now. Junior smiled. True. Want some advice? Don't drop out of college. Finish it, but start studying mechanics on the side. Here, if you want, when you graduate, you'll have two powerful skills. You think I can do it? Junior, your grandfather challenged me to fix a sabotage tractor. If I could do that, you can convince your parents that you can be happy and successful as a mechanic. The young man left feeling more excited. Ashley called Old Man Jenkins. You sent your grandson here, didn't you? The old man's laughter echoed through the phone. Life has its ironies, Ashley. The grandson wants to be a mechanic and the son is resisting. History repeating itself. No, history evolving. Robert doesn't have the same prejudice I did. He just wants what's best for his son. But sometimes, what's best isn't what we expect. And you, what do you think? I think everyone should follow their heart. I learned that from a stubborn young woman 15 years ago. Ashley smiled. How's your health? Strong as an old bull. Dorothy won't let me eat pork rinds, but otherwise I'm fine. And you? When are you giving me honorary grandkids? Old Man Jenkins, Ashley laughed. Too much work to think about that. Work is important, but so is family. Don't let time slip away, girl. After hanging up, Ashley grew thoughtful. Old Man Jenkins had been right about many things. 2 days later, there was an emergency meeting at the farm. Robert had had an accident. Nothing serious, but enough to worry everyone. Ashley arrived to find the family gathered. Robert had his arm in a cast, looking frustrated. Right at harvest time, he grumbled. Dad, I can help, Junior offered. You don't know how to operate the new machines. I can learn. In 2 weeks, impossible. Ashley saw her chance. What if he could learn in 2 days? Everyone looked at her. Junior has a natural talent for machines. I saw it today in the workshop. With intensive training. Ashley's right, Old Man Jenkins chimed in. The boy has the gift. He just needs the chance. Robert looked from his father to his son, conflicted. Dad, Junior said, give me a chance like Grandpa gave Ashley. Silence stretched. Then Robert sighed. Fine. But if anything goes wrong... It won't, Ashley assured. I'll supervise the training. And so for the next 2 days, Ashley and Junior worked tirelessly. The young man truly had talent, steady hands, quick thinking, respect for the machines. On the 3rd day, he operated the harvester alone for the first time. The whole family watched, tense. The machine moved through the fields with precision. Junior hadn't just learned, he'd excelled. Robert had tears in his eyes. I was wrong. No, you weren't, Old Man Jenkins said. You were being a father, wanting to protect. But sometimes, protecting means letting them fly. The harvest was saved. More importantly, Robert finally understood his son's passion for machines. At dinner that night, he announced, Junior will finish college, but he'll also study mechanics. And when you graduate, if you still want to, there's a guaranteed place for you here, taking care of our machines. Junior hugged his father, overcome with emotion. Ashley watched, remembering another embrace 15 years earlier, between Old Man Jenkins and Robert. History repeating itself? Jennifer whispered to her. No, Ashley replied. History evolving. Each generation learning a little faster, being a little more open. After dinner, Old Man Jenkins asked everyone to gather in the living room. I have an announcement, he said. Dorothy and I are getting old. It's time to pass the torch. Everyone grew tense. That's why we've decided to divide the farm. Michael gets the north section, Robert the south. Jennifer gets the solar energy rights for the entire property. Dad, the three began. I'm not finished, Ashley. She startled. Me? You'll take the barn where the tractor is. I want you to turn it into a museum. The story of the challenge needs to be preserved. Ashley was speechless. And Junior, Old Man Jenkins continued, when you graduate, if you want, You can manage the museum with Ashley, combining administration, mechanics, and history. The whole family was moved. This was more than a division of assets. It was the consolidation of a legacy. Old Man Jenkins, Ashley finally managed to speak. I can't accept. You can and you will. Your family, Ashley. Not by blood, but by choice, and sometimes those are the strongest bonds. Dorothy hugged Ashley. He's right. You brought our family back together. It's only fair you always have your place in it. That night, as everyone celebrated and made plans, Ashley stepped outside to her usual spot, near the old tractor. But this time she wasn't alone. The whole family followed her. Old Man Jenkins, Dorothy, their children, grandchildren, even the little great-grandchildren, who were just arriving. 15 years, Old Man Jenkins said. 15 years since you accepted my impossible challenge. Feels like yesterday, Ashley replied. And feels like a lifetime, Dorothy added. They stood there, 3 generations united by a story of perseverance, gazing at the tractor that had been the catalyst for so much change. You know, Junior said, when I was little, I thought this tractor story was just a family legend. Why? Ashley asked. Because it seemed too impossible. A proud man changing completely, a family rebuilding itself, an entire community transforming, all because of a challenge. The best stories are the ones that seem impossible, Old Man Jenkins said, because they remind us that the impossible is just a matter of perspective. And courage, Ashley added. And love, Dorothy finished. As they walked back to the house, Ashley glanced back one last time. The tractor stood there, a silent witness, that sometimes life's greatest challenges are actually its greatest blessings in disguise. The museum opened a year later. Challenge Museum, where impossible meets determination. Junior, freshly graduated, took over management alongside Ashley. On opening day, hundreds of people attended. Former students from the center, families inspired by the story, curious visitors eager to see the famous tractor. Old Man Jenkins, now 74, cut the ribbon, but he insisted Ashley give the first tour. This is the story of a challenge, she began, standing before the restored tractor. But it's also the story of how pride can turn into humility, how prejudice can give way to acceptance, how a family can rebuild itself stronger. The visitors listened, captivated, as Ashley recounted every detail. Children touched the tractor. With reverence, adults were moved by the lessons. In a special corner, there was a section called Your Challenge, where people could write about their own impossible challenges and how they planned to overcome them. By the end of the first day, hundreds of notes already filled the board. I'll reconcile with my brother after 10 years. I'll go back to school at 55. I'll accept help to overcome my addiction. I'll ask my daughter for forgiveness. Ashley read each one, moved. The tractor challenge had become a symbol of hope and change. Old Man Jenkins approached her at the end of the day. It was worth it, wasn't it? Every second, Ashley replied. You know, sometimes I think about the man I was 15 years ago. I can barely recognize him. He's still there, Old Man Jenkins. He just learned to be better. Thanks to you. Thanks to us. All of us. They watched the sun set behind the museum, painting the sky with the same colors as that day, 15 years ago, when it all began. Ashley, Old Man Jenkins said softly, promise me something? What? That you'll keep accepting challenges, that you'll keep changing lives, that you'll keep showing that impossible is just a word. Ashley held her old friend's hand. I promise, and she kept her word. The museum became a center of inspiration. The technology center kept training young people. Ashley's workshops employed dozens, many of them women breaking barriers. But most importantly, the story kept spreading, touching lives, inspiring change. Every person who visited the museum left with a seed of courage planted in their heart. Because in the end, that was the true legacy of the Tractor Challenge, living proof that when we face our challenges with courage and compassion, we can transform not just machines, but hearts, families, and entire communities. And so what began as one proud man's impossible challenge became a beacon of hope, reminding everyone that it's never too late to change, never too early to dream, and that life's greatest challenges are often the greatest gifts we can receive. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of the story and where you're watching from. If you have something to share with us, leave your honest words in the comments. Do you think Ashley made the right decision by accepting the challenge, even though she knew it was a trap? We'd love to hear your opinion. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories.